Well, Rossi goes through.
I don't know if I win, but for sure Stoner don't win.
They didn't like each other.
There is one details that maybe nobody knows about that.
He said to me, say nothing, it's my fault.
Unbelievable stuff from Casey Stoner.
I learnt after that point to be more selfish with my racing.
Over the top they go. Rossi goes through. Rossi has the advantage. And Rossi's world champion from 1997.
It's Rossi on the Yamaha. He is the world champion. He is the winner.
Valentino Rossi wins the African Grand Prix. Valentino Rossi wins the race.
2008 was the year where Valentino back to be competitive. We won in China, won few races.
We ride with Casey Stoner, the man behind him, chasing his 7th successive win here at Mugello. Here we go, Castellani. It's one of his favourite overtaking places. Valentino Rossi wins his 7th successive Grand Prix here at Mugello. He increases his lead in the World Championship.
But still, Casey Stoner was so strong. He was so fast.
Casey Stoner crosses the line and wins the German Grand Prix. 3 in a row for the Australian. Valentino Rossi in second place.
Casey stava facendo paura, secondo me è uno dei avversari più difficili è stato per Vale, per noi, quello forse sicuramente con più talento.
But it's the man on fire. Can anybody beat him in 1 week's time at Laguna Seca?
And that was the start, of course, then of another great rivalry. I mean, Casey and Valentino were big rivals. They didn't like each other. They didn't get on.
He had such a power. He knew how to use it, and he knew how to create everything. He knew how to create problems. He knew how to say things in the media that would get a lot of attention, that would try to put pressure on you.
So we were kind of looking for the next big, juicy rivalry, and there it was, Stoner Rossi.
From the beginning was head-to-head. And we arrived in Laguna Seca, and you understand the moment that is the moment.
We'd finally just got a decent result before getting to Laguna, and we really just had to start chasing down points in the championship.
Valentino knew that he needed something really, really special to change and to bless Stoner inside.
If I was able to beat him there, I can crack his power.
Friday, he was ridiculously quick, so much quicker than anybody else. Saturday, I think he was still a second quicker than anybody else.
Nicky Hayden's also on a fast lap, but nowhere near Stoner's time. What time will it be from Stoner? A 1:20.7.
Casey was fast, so we were half a second slower than him all weekend.
You're a bookmaker, and this is a guy you bet on. You know, he's going to win for sure.
Io ero sicuro che la gara non era persa, invece è un po' del nostro box, si respirava un po' il sabato sera, visto che prendevamo quasi un secondo al giro, un po' aria di sconfitta, no?
And I remember Saturday night, inside the garage, Valentino speaking to Jeremy Barges, his crew chief, talking about how can we do, and all of us, me with mechanics, seated in the floor, and it was like everybody thinking, try to pick up some idea, oh, maybe we can do that, we can do this.
I said in Laguna, I remember clearly saying, if you can just get in front of him, and if you can lead onto the straight, because if you know the straight at Laguna Seca, it's short, uphill and over a hill. And if you're in front, the rider behind has to go a longer way around.
And disturb him as much as you can, anytime you can, and don't let him get one complete lap. Because if he was to make half a second gap, you'll never catch him.
No, we had a strategy. The strategy was go first and stay first, because for us, theoretically, was easy to do it. They had to close a gap, a very big gap, that to me was unclosable.
Clearly he expected to win, Ducati expected him to win, But, you know, there's always that old story, isn't there? There's always the sprinkling of the Rossi magic on a Sunday.
We start in the hotel. From the hotel, me and Ucho, and to go to Laguna Seca for Sunday morning. And Ucho said to me, hey, today what's happened? What do you want to do? And I said to him, I don't know if I win, but for sure Stoner don't win. So this is the target, the plan for the race.
Well, maybe he already had a plan in his head that either he was going to, you know, be able to beat me or both of us wouldn't finish. I don't know. So, but some of the overtakings do suggest that that was the mentality.
Start first of all with Casey Stoner from pole position at 120.7, smashed the pole position lap record. He smashed it actually on race tyres as well. 5 poles in a row now for him. He's the only man to have done that in the 4-stroke era since Valentino Rossi. The lights are on, and out they go for the US Grand Prix. It looks like a decent start from Rossi on second in the grid, also from Stoner just in front of him. But look at Hayden on the inside. Hayden coming through and taking second position. They head up to the Corkscrew for the first time, an attack from Rossi. Valentino Rossi goes through and leads in the US Grand Prix.
You could see the desperation and the way Valentino was just desperate to get in front, desperate to get in front.
Every time Stoner overtake him, he had to answer immediately back.
Wow, Rossi goes through and pushes Stoner away.
This was very clear from the first laps that that was his plan, not to let us go, not to let us get into a rhythm.
And it was great with a lot of overtaking, blah, 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 like this.
Stoner in second position once more, round the outside, going up the Rahal straight. Unbelievable stuff from Casey Stoner. And Rossi comes straight back at the Corkscrew. We haven't seen action like this as Rossi runs off track and pushes Stoner wide. What amazing stuff here, Valentino Rossi.
I think I was like everybody else in the world, just like that, you know. It's, you forget to breathe from your...
I still don't know how Vale was able to react in an unbelievable way.
Didn't matter whether he won or we both went down with a crash, one way or another. He didn't want me to win that race.
He used a part that was not in the track, and when he came back in, did nothing to stay in his line. And Casey, I remember Musk closed the throttle, brake, and let him go to avoid the crash.
He came on the track in an unsafe way. He went off track and gained an advantage. It's also in the rule book. If you go outside of the track and gain an advantage, you have to give that back.
Valentino really outfoxed Casey, in my opinion, on that racetrack. So it was a real battle of the wits. More than anything, it was a battle of the wits. And then finally, I remember that Casey fell towards the back end of the race.
And lining up the last corner of the circuit.
Stoner
runs it wide. And he's going to run it wide and onto the gravel. That could be the end of the race. He's gone down. Casey Stoner has gone down. Well, Stoner in second position has gone down.
Still running.
Is he going to be able to? He's in second position still, of course. Still running, but he's going to lose so much time now. That is the end of the American Grand Prix.
At the last corner. He'd done it a couple of times during that race where he broke really early going into a corner, which was basically to try and catch me off guard because he knew I was trying to get an exit and get a run on him, and unfortunately that time I didn't expect him to break that early. But inside the gravel it was hard up until a certain point, and then it just fell into deep gravel, and that's where I lost the front in it, and unfortunately, that was race over. That was my fault.
When I arrived to the pit, Casey saw me and immediately said to me, "Say nothing. It's my fault." Okay, and I was super surprised. I say, maybe I saw a different race.
And I still think I would have won the race if I hadn't made the mistake in the gravel.
Psychologically, that would have been really, really damaging for Casey because you expect to win. You think you're going to win, and then you don't.
Valentino Rossi will take victory in the United States Grand Prix. A big old wheelie as he crosses the line. A brilliant, brilliant performance from the past master, Valentino Rossi. You can see how much he loves that one. Casey Stoner, shake of the head from him to his team as he crosses the start-finish line, but still A brilliant performance from himself to attack Valentino Rossi on virtually every single lap as well.
He was really angry. I mean, let's not make any mistake about this. Casey was not happy with the way that Valentino rode. The move on the corkscrew was one of a couple of very hard overtakes.
I felt that some of the passes were a little bit too much for me. You know, I've been racing for a lot of years and come through a lot of different ranks of racing, and you know, for me, they were just a couple of the passes were a little too much, and you know, I would have liked to have had a little bit cleaner battle. I learnt a lot about character. I learned a lot about racecraft. I learned a lot about what people were capable of. I learnt after that point to be more selfish with my racing, not really care so much when maybe somebody had to run wide after I overtook them.
He had to learn, I think, from a loss, and he learned that he was fighting with a kind of monster also in the head.
He probably made a mistake that day by doing what he did. Before we were rivals, after that we were not enemies, but we were a lot stronger rivals. So from that day forward, I didn't really care. You know, if he was fighting for a championship, I certainly wouldn't have been his friend. If he was fighting for victories or needing points, you know, I certainly wasn't going to help him out.
It was one of the best races of my career, one of the best battle against one of the greatest rival, and that was very important for the championship.
The psychological lift, the huge mental boost that Valentino would have got from that victory would have been huge. You know, he would have flown home from California that day thinking he could walk on water. You know, he didn't need a plane to fly home. He was so high.
Secondo me è stata la svolta di quel mondiale lì, perché lo sapevo che quella gara lì sapevo forse che sarebbe stata la chiave di quell'anno. Lui era quello che stava facendo così e noi stavamo facendo così. Era ora di provare a fregarlo e lui avrebbe rifatto poi lui così e noi così.
Without the overtake in Laguna Seca in 2008, Valentino would not have won the championship, and Casey Stoner would have maybe won that title and also others.
There is one details that maybe nobody knows about that. When he moved into the mud and come back in the truck, the bike hit the asphalt, and the screw where there is the oil was completely damaged.
If you go up the track and you come back there's pretty big curbstones as well, and you know, and you have the G-force of bottoming it out. So he was in the rocks, in the rough, then poof, like that.
There's a piece of concrete or a drain or something, and it had hit the bottom of that and broken the bottom of the cowling, and the plug the sump plug that holds the oil in the engine was ground down by about, well, I'd say almost half was ground away, I remember, after the race.
In future years, that went onto the side of the engine, not onto the bottom.
Just for a couple of milli, the oil didn't come out from the engine. So that's also something that when we saw that at the end of the race, it's unbelievable. So it was really another small details that makes everybody like without words.
Sometimes you need a bit of luck on your side too.
He goes to the corkscrew and kisses the ground in the corkscrew. Fabulous performance from him.